All right, I call, it's 5 o'clock on February 8th, and I call the meeting of the, posted meeting of the Cable Advisory Committee to order, and we'll open with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States
for
of
which it
America,
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first order of business tonight is if we have Attorney Hewitt teed up.
We do. Attorney Ewing, can you hear us?
I can.
Did you
Good.
want to approve the minutes first?
Why don't we lay that on the table for a minute while we have the attorney on the line?
Okay.
Okay. Attorney, thank you for joining us tonight. I think this is a good opportunity for us to introduce yourself and to kind of talk about the license renegotiation that we have pending and any potential issues. I know I've shared with you a few different documents, a working document that was approved by the Select Board to move forward with your services. So I think the intent of tonight's meeting is more of an introduction to yourself and to see where we're going to go from this point on.
Certainly. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for inviting me. It's nice to be back in Westport again. I did your renewal 10 years ago, and I also believe I did it 20 years ago as well. I'm somewhat familiar with the town and your access folks, and it's nice to be back. The current charter license expires by my notes and my review, I think, of the license online in June of this year, June 6, 2023. So that gives us about 4 months maybe. And I did review the papers you sent me. I thought they were excellent. That's just what we need. As far as ascertainment reports and ascertainment materials, at some point, we're going to want to turn those over or turn summaries over to Charter. And so I did summarize them in my notes. And here is my summary and my comparison with your other license. The current license is 3.5% gross annual revenues. And as I read and understood your papers, you would like to go up to 4%, increase that by 0.5%. That should not be a problem with Charter. Currently, you get $200,000, or you receive $200,000 over the 10 years of your prior term, ending in June. There was $100,000 in the first year, and then $100,000 in year 5. And as I read and understood your ascertainment, you're looking for $300,000 this time in years 1, 3, and 7. That seems to me to be reasonable. That being the case, the task that is before us now is to send this information to Charter and start negotiating with them. I will tell you my experience with Charter is that they are very, very slow. They have one agent for the entire Commonwealth. His name is John Marr. He used to be with Comcast, now he's with Charter. I can reach John, but it's very difficult sometimes to get him to get into a substantive discussion with him. So I'm glad we have 4 months to do this. with another cable operator, it might only take a month to do this, but with Charter, we're going to need a lot of time. I'm optimistic that we can get an agreement that is close to what you're looking for, if not the exact amounts, in time for the license.
Did the whole online freeze or just you,
Froze.
Attorney Ewing?
Looks like the whole online.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's frozen.
John?
That had me participate,
Oh,
at least
there
for the
is
first
second.
couple of
Yeah.
times.
Sorry, we lost you there for a minute, so you froze. I don't believe we caught the last part of what you said.
Yeah, thank you. My preference is to have the committee, have you folks be present for at least the first couple negotiating sessions. I think that's important for two reasons. One, there may be questions of a technical nature or questions of another nature that one or a number of you may have the answer to that I might not or would not necessarily have. So it's helpful to have your expertise and your local knowledge present if and when Charter asks questions about, well, like, where is this, how far away is this facility, and do you have any plans to move, that sort of thing. There are frequently questions like that you folks would be more likely to know than me.
So Bill, excuse me, I just, sorry to interrupt. So are we able to actually bring John to the table for an in-person meeting? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, either in person or by Zoom.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Because we've reached out a few times to try to get a hold of him, and again, it's been crickets, I think.
He is hard to reach, and he doesn't return calls very well. I can get through to him now because I pester the heck out of him. I send emails, I leave messages with him. I've even called his boss, who's a woman up in New Hampshire, and she didn't bother to answer my letter, my email, or my calls. That's just the nature of the beast. But I think I can get John's attention, and my recommendation would be, as I said, that you folks, that with our first several negotiating sessions, at least, be with all of you folks present. The second reason is not only do you have knowledge that I might not have, but I think it's helpful for everyone in the committee to see and hear Charter's responses to what we say. And if you're all present, then I won't have to send you a long email saying, I said this and John said that, I said this and John said that. And you folks will say, well, will you ask him this, will you ask him that? It's just a lot easier if you're present and you see the types of questions and the types of concerns he might have firsthand. Perhaps when we get further down the line, and we're perhaps just negotiating over one or two things, a few phone calls back and forth between John and me will be sufficient. But at least for the first session, maybe the first couple sessions, I would very much like to have you all present if you are willing and able to do so. And I think we can do it by Zoom. John will probably show up by Zoom.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think we certainly can arrange to do that.
And so I just want to confirm my understanding. What you're looking for is, in the new license, would be 4% gross annual revenues, $300,000 in years 1, 3, and 7. You also asked for 3 HD channels, and courtesy account cable converters to monitor programming, programming guide. I'm reading my own notes here and it's hard. Let's see, senior discount, reopen the customer service center in town. That's been closed, has it?
Yes.
It
Yes.
has been closed, okay. And there was one other thing here, quicker response to, I can't read my writing. Quicker response time.
Probably to outages.
Outages.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There may be a few other asks that, as we drafted this report, we actually just built a new high school here in town. And John, maybe you can chime in. Does the high school have residential drops from Charter?
As far as I know, they do not have it, and I'd say that after speaking to a technician that was out there.
Okay. So we may want to just tweak a few of our asks and realizing, obviously that we may not get everything, but, the committee can weigh in as to the importance of what we're asking for and whether or not we want to pursue it.
Exactly. I will tell you my initial reaction. This is bad news. Charter has not yet given HD channels to anybody, not even one. Do you have a digital have they upgraded your system to digital? Do you know?
No.
They have not.
Probably not. We may be able to get that, but unless they've changed their company policy in about the last month, because I'm doing about 4 Charter licenses in other communities, and they will not give an HD channel. That's bad news, I know. There just isn't much we can do about that. That's their company policy. They used to have senior discounts, and they used to be written into the licenses, and I suspect there is one written into your current license from 2013. They've stopped doing that too. That may be negotiable. Maybe we'll get a side letter agreement with them or something like that. But those two things are I want you to know up front ahead of time. It's unlikely we're going to be able to get those. And I also think it's unlikely they're going to reopen a service center in town that they've closed. But some cable companies, and maybe Charter does this, have a desk, a local drop-off center at maybe a Best Buy or, a third-party vendor that will take payments if people want to go in and pay, or swap boxes if people want to do that. So that's a possibility too. I know some other cable companies do that, even though they don't want to reopen their center in town. They do have a third-party vendor, so that's a possibility too. I'm sorry to start off with bad news.
The proposal, I'd like to ask, the proposal as it's been submitted and accepted by our select board, is that sent in total to to Charter, or do some of the pieces get presented as you were talking about? All of these requests, have different separate, how is that done?
Well, it can be done either way. I like to send my own email delineating, here's what we want, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then I'll attach the supporting papers, if we have a budget and the equipment list and that kind of thing, attach those to it. That's how I prefer to do it, but there's no magic to how you do it. You can do it either way.
I'm just wondering about how complete they get the first pass, and what you're saying is give them the total request, and then when you start having conversations, you focus on those areas that really are going to require negotiations, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And the other thing I should mention to you is, too, we'll have to schedule you haven't had a public hearing yet, or have you?
We did.
We did.
Very early in the process with a very new chair, so it's actually like a year ago, and it was a very small turnout. So I think on our agenda is to consider doing that again. Clearly, those are already more complaint sessions than anything else, and so we're not excited about that opportunity. But
Well,
we're
actually, that's actually a blessing in disguise. It's a good thing for the cable company to get an earful from people and to find out what people's complaints are, and because this is the best possible time to get them to change, when we're holding the license over their head. So I wouldn't mind seeing another public hearing if you folks can do that and want to. And I always encourage folks to quote, turn out the vote. That is, get as many people to attend that hearing as you can. And if they come to complain, so be it. That's good. And with Charter, I don't doubt that they will, frankly.
So,
We did have a letter from their government manager, and he was it was a few months.
Charter must be providing internet service. We lost you guys again.
We can't hear.
I don't know if you can hear us, but we've lost the feed.
But what he has to do is Charter has to hire a court reporter and prepare a transcript, and then we send a transcript to him. So, I suppose I don't have to read it, but.
So I'm sorry, we lost you here at the town annex. I don't know if you guys were still able to communicate together, but so is Charter required to attend this public hearing? And I think that's what you were alluding to, right?
Yeah, it is, and they are not required to attend. The hearings I've had most recently with Charter, they did not attend.
Okay.
But as I was saying though, they're obligated to hire a court reporter and create a transcript, and we send the transcript to them. So if they want, they can read what is said. And I'm assuming that at some point, somebody in charter does read it, but I don't know. In any event, that's what we would do.
Okay. So in terms of setting up a timetable, I think that might be something that the board might want to consider, maybe back timing it from the June 7th date. I mean, I think one of the concerns the committee might have, the board might have, is what happens if the license lapses, right? Do we go beyond that? That might be a consideration. Or should we target to get things done prior to June 7th?
We definitely want to target to get it done prior to June 7th, but I will tell you that a lot of licenses do lapse, and a lot of charter licenses have lapsed. And if that happens, there is no cause for concern as far as the legal side of things go. The DTC and the cable companies and the attorneys who do this, including myself, have all long understood that if a license lapses, and if both parties are continuing to negotiate in good faith for a renewal, the law is that the license is considered to be extended on its current terms by virtue of mutual consent. In other words, both sides expect that license the terms of that license to continue. Both sides expect the cable company is going to keep providing cable service, they're going to keep sending bills, people will keep paying it, etc. And what would also continue would be the 3.5% gross annual revenue payments under the current license, but the $200,000 capital has already been paid off, so you wouldn't get any more capital. So to the extent that this lapse goes on for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months, in a sense, you're starting to lose that future capital payment that you might want and expect. So we want to try and get it in under by June the 6th. And I think if we make it very clear to Charter right away up front, and we are determined that this is going to be done by June 6th, I think we can do it.
Bill, I think we should definitely try to get this done. And will you attend at least virtually the public hearing that we hold?
If you want me to, absolutely. And I would actually like to attend it live. I prefer to do it live, but I can do it by Zoom, whatever your preference is.
Well,
but yes, I would.
We would prefer to have you live.
And I can do that.
Good.
Can I ask Jim Hartnett if you have questions? Can you hear me, Jim?
I can. I guess just what's the timeline starting out? What's the next step?
We would probably be having a discussion, but there's lots going on tonight about looking at those dates. We've already talked about that in previous meetings. And my concern is that the select board is right on board with this. Our job is to provide all the background, make this thing move forward, but the select board also has to be up to speed if we're gonna meet this date in June. So please, if you have any more questions, the committee will come together, our board will come together and come up with a couple of dates. And we can talk to Attorney Dewitt and get that moving. It'll take some coordination. It'll also have to be coordinated. And Bob, I'm gonna count on you with all the other things happening in town that are gonna be critical. We don't big meetings all on the same night. But Jim, what are the things that we have to think, or we are talking with the select board so that they're not way behind as this thing starts to move forward?
You know, we're relying on you. You're the ones that are dealing with this all the time, so once you need something from the select board, let us know. We'll get it on the agenda, we'll get it moving. I think they're gonna rely heavily on this group and abide by your recommendations for the most part.
Yeah. Steve has been involved in previous negotiations, and I didn't hear from him at all about the meeting tonight, so I'm gonna assume there may be some health reasons that he didn't get back to us, but, do you want more than one representative from the select board? When we look at calendars and people's availability, I need to know who actually has to have an opening to be there, and I would include you and Steve, and if there's anyone else, we need to make sure we know that.
I think that's probably it, Steve and myself, and if Steve can't make it, we'll work around it.
Well, may I make a suggestion for the next step? What I think would be helpful would be to get our demands to charter as soon as possible. And to do that, what I'm proposing is, I propose to send to all of you a draft email that I would send to charter, and let you look at it and make sure I haven't missed anything, or, you know, if you have some additional things to add, we'll add them in. You'd have to do that at another public hearing, or public meeting, I should say. It would be nice if you could all just answer my email and we'll change the list, but it's gotta be under the open meeting law, so, I would propose to do that, and I would propose to, I can get that list to you probably by the end of the week. And then, when you've had a chance to look at the list, and, you know, we're all in agreement, this is our set of demands to send to charter, I'd like to send it to charter right away. And in the same time, tell them we're having a public hearing on X date, and we want to start negotiations on Y date, and by Z date, June 6th, we want a new license. And just set those things out for them right away, and then we can all start getting dates when John Marr can attend one of our meetings and start the negotiations.
Bob, you're going to have to leave tonight, so we're not going to be able to have a lot of time to deal with dates for everyone. But Renee, if you would continue to be the lead on this renewal proposal, so when we get it, let's make sure everybody, I will be involved, I'll be back up to speed in another day or two. Make sure everyone has a chance to look at it and responds. And I think that can happen, but we need,
Gone again. We definitely need a cable upgrade.
It's interesting, we haven't froze next door. Use it quick.
open public meeting, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So,
we should be able to do that.
I think if, Bill, if you send, I think, Bill, do you have our contact information?
Yes, he does.
Your contact information?
Yes.
Yes, I believe so. I sent an email earlier that John responded to, sending me an email link, and, or I should say a Zoom link. And I believe that list is all of your contact information, but let me just check here and make sure.
We can send that to you. Our secretary is sitting right over there, and she
Okay.
is wonderful. So
That'd
she-
be great. Okay.
It's all up to date. And Sharon, make sure that Attorney Hugh gets everyone's email address, including Jim Hartnett, so that he knows what's going on.
And Bill, if you send that to us, then we will all review it individually, and then we can gather at a posted meeting and accept the list of requests, and then get that back to you immediately, and then get it off to charter.
Perfect. As I say, today's Wednesday, I will get that to you by the end of the week, probably tomorrow. And then, so then the next step after that, after you approve it, would be for me to send that to charter, along with some of the ascertainment materials. And in my email to you, I'll ask you if there's some, like a budget could be attached, an equipment list could be attached. I'll take a look at them again and see whether I think it's appropriate to send the whole thing or just certain parts of it. And I'll mention that in my message to you as well.
Right, I mean, I think everything that's in the, that we sent you, that the equipment list and all of that has been discussed in our open meetings. I don't think there's any reason not for sending it to charter.
Okay. Yeah, so that sounds like a good plan. And as I say, I'll get this to you probably tomorrow, Friday at the latest. And you folks can look at it and just let me know what to add, what to cross out, how to amend it, and I'll amend, add, and cross out and send it to charter as you have amended it.
That sounds great. Anybody have anything else for it?
No, I think,
Bill,
that's a
thank you
good-
for
that's a good start.
for your time this evening.
You're welcome. It's good to see you, and some of you, good to see you again. I'll be in touch with you by email shortly.
Thank you,
We
Bill.
will see again, for sure, for sure.
Thank you,
Good
Bill.
evening, everyone.
Have a good night.
Bye, good night.
Well, I think, you know, it's just,
I'm sorry I haven't heard from Steve. So, Jim, if you get an indication that he's ill, would you let me know? He hasn't responded to
We-
either the mailing that went out about the meeting or a follow-up. And I think it's really important that we get everybody's dates.
we're probably gonna see him in 25 minutes.
We had an agenda. I think the most important thing that probably should be covered, I had no idea what shape I'd be in when we were putting this together, and luckily I'm alive and planning to continue to be so. But we really need to look at our calendars and decide how, whether we can actually try to have a meeting by the end of February. I think maybe early March for the community, but if we're gonna meet again, to follow up what he said, I need some dates, because all of you have very full schedules.
If we have to approve his message at a public meeting,
Great.
and then we've got to post it, we've got all the posting requirements, I suppose as soon as we have it and look at it, we've got to then schedule a meeting a meeting just to agree to whatever it is. You know, maybe it's a 5-minute meeting.
We lost her again.
And we definitely would like to have you in person.
We certainly could shoot for the end of next week or something, if the dates become 16th or 17th, or the beginning of the following week. President's Day, I think the 20th is President's Day, and that's a school holiday that's probably not too relevant for most people here, unless Renee, put her away. Is that?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm around. I think we can try to work aggressively to get all this stuff together. I don't think the ask list to the attorney is going to be that difficult to accomplish. I think it's really taking care of this additional public hearing. I think that's going to be a little bit more. Obviously, we need to post it and make sure that everybody can coordinate their schedules to attend it.
We don't need very long to post, we need a couple of days. So if 16th of February is open at some point for people, we could tentatively target that as an open meeting. Is that, people look at their calendars and see if that's possible?
That's a Thursday.
That's a Thursday?
Yes.
It's supposed to be a school committee meeting, but I'm not sure if we're gonna have that.
Oh, there may be a school committee meeting that night, but we don't know for sure.
There is one
Oh,
listed.
Oh, there is?
Yes.
There's
All
one
we
listed.
need is a quorum.
I don't know if people can make these decisions tonight, but I think if we can't come to some agreement, what I'm doing is looking at soon. I'm not picking the beginning of the week because there's Valentine's and all kinds of other stuff, but if the 16th or 17th are possible, let's start there. If it's not possible, if you would email me with the time of day and the first date that's possible for you to meet. I am relatively flexible. I have a meeting next week that I have to be at, but other than,
Okay.
I think I can make changes.
So Irene, you're talking about for this board to get together and finalize the ask
Yeah.
list? Okay, not the public hearing.
Yeah, get an answer and get it moving as the attorney asked us
Yeah.
to do.
What about the 15th, Irene? Keeping it on a Wednesday.
That's next Wednesday.
It's next Wednesday. It's provided we get the material from the attorney.
I can do it if we we don't get too late at night, if we do like a 5 o'clock or something like that.
I think I can do that, and also, I can't imagine this meeting is 5 minutes long, right? We're
Really, all we have to do is to be there, and if some people want to do it this way with Google Meet, I'm sure we can arrange it, but we do need to set it
Yeah.
and get it posted.
Pretty
so
much have
that's the
everything.
most
There may be a
important
couple of
So it's
additional.
just a time to get it posted.
Yeah.
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 So we have to check with Steve Roulette, we have to check with the other, with Gloria, just to make sure, because I really would like everybody to be able, to attend. Right now, we're tentatively hoping to meet at 5 o'clock on the 15th, for a half hour max.
Right. Yeah, you know, Irene, I would say that if we can get a quorum for the 15th,
Yes,
you know, everyone will have received the attorney's note that he's going to send, and everyone will have looked at it, and then everyone will have a chance to comment, and if we can get a quorum to say that it's okay, we've got that done, then I think it's really setting up a public, because he also would like to know when the public, would like to tell Charter when the public hearing was going to be.
yes.
And
Yes,
so
and
that,
that's the trickier part, because we really need to set a date far enough out that we can promote it, advertise it, and we were asked to try to, bring out the troops. So it can't be 2 or 3 people that have just heard about it. We've got to have a little bit more of a promotional effort on that. And I will look at dates, and I will ask everybody else. But Jim, there's a lot of things happening that are really important to town government right now, and that's what I don't want to get in the way of. I don't want a date that you've got some important finance committee hearings or whatever. So we really need your guidance on this.
So
And I'm-
if you avoid Monday and Tuesday nights, I think you're pretty much,
Okay. So it's really, we have to have at least 2-3 weeks to promote it, get some information out. So that would be the other issue that I think we should cover on that meeting, of when are we gonna do it and how are we gonna promote it? So I would guess that this meeting on the 15th is a good half an hour of decision-making. And in order to do that, you're gonna have to bring your ideas and suggestions into the table. Does that make sense?
yes.
Irene, is there any way we can get the selectmen to mention the public hearing at one of their meetings?
we can do that, just let us know.
One of your meetings, just, that way somebody will be watching it. I mean, the last
Yeah,
one we had 3 people show up.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Really, and we can't put it in the, we want to go, let's say, with a excise tax mailing or tax, you can't do that. I put a insert in it, they said we can't.
We
No,
can certainly mention it at the meeting, just let,
Yeah.
once we get the date, we'll.
Yeah.
It's tough to
Okay.
get the word out because,
It is.
and guess Valerie or John, can you run a banner line on your public channels?
I think it can be recorded, but the point is, we need to have people show up with their concerns. And otherwise, it's just sort of a imaginary, or a TV show or something like that. This has to be very real. Anyway, right now, we are agreed that if we get a quorum, which we have basically right now, but if we get the rest of the key people to be able to come to a meeting, or at least attend Google Link for a half an hour at 5 o'clock on the 15th, that's step 1. You come reviewing the materials that we got from the attorney. That should come very soon. And Renee, I want you to go back and look at it all. You and Bob really were the final eyes on putting that together and making the presentation. So if what he sends is what we want to be forwarded, then there's very little discussion about that. It's really review and approve. So the next thing would be to really talk about this open meeting, so we have a better idea and we can begin to promote it. That's my sense of what we would do on the 15th. And we need people to look at their calendars and the town calendar.
Irene,
Jim, will let us know if there's anything we need to know about Steve. That would be helpful. If he can participate in all of this spring, would be very important. Isn't it?
I will check with him tonight.
I'm sorry?
I will check with him tonight.
Thank you, thank you. Let me turn the agenda back to Bob or Renee.
Yep.
Or whatever the time frame. We've got half an hour before 6 o'clock. If there's anything on the agenda that people would like to cover, I think the rest we'll shake out and we'll get that done. And I will work with getting this, posted as an official meeting for the 15th, after I talk to people.
well, we have distributed, going back to the agenda, we've distributed the minutes of the meeting on January 11th, and if I had a motion to adopt that,
Motion to adopt.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Jim, I will see you in 5 minutes of,
All right.
and then, John, would you like to give us your community TV update? Valerie's probably getting ready to film our next meeting.
Yep. Everybody's multitasking tonight.
All right, let's see. I sent it to myself. So I just want to touch base on a couple of things, like our friendly encoder update, which is a monthly thing here. So just to take you back a little bit, there's 3 encoders that Charter's given us, so we can now broadcast live from the new building. And I've been feeding them signal for, it seems like, over a month. And on 2 of them, they did get signal, and then they heard us. They were having trouble with the 3rd, and they came back and told me, well, the converters you're using to send us a signal, they're too new. So you have to dumb it down. And I said, well, wait a minute. 2 of them are working. You told me 2 of them are working, and why do I need, why do I need to go out and purchase 3 new ones? So that seemed a little, bit confusing to me. So where we stand now is I asked them, can Spectrum provide me those 3 converters? They're not that expensive. I'll end up buying them if they don't give them to me, but, they're having me do some of their job, I believe.
Yep.
That's how I'm looking at this.
That's the thing we should bring up also when we meet with Charter.
Sure?
All the
Yeah,
issues
absolutely.
with that.
Yep, sure.
These are the encoders where, at the high school or?
At the new high school, yep.
Okay.
Yep, so the master plan we've had all along is to stop feeding out of the old building, the old high school, and due to the new building now.
Okay.
So that's where we stand with that. I've told them, can they provide us, and I'm just waiting for an answer. The woman I work with is out of New York. Obviously, she's not from around here, couldn't make it any more difficult. She wrote me yesterday, so how's it going with those signals? So she never answered my question. She just re-asked a question that she
Was she
had.
out of Worcester or
She's out of New York.
out of New York?
She's a scheduler, yeah. She schedules the
Is
people.
there anybody in Worcester now?
I'm sure there are. She scheduled, the texts that have come down it's a 90-minute drive for them.
Just for a while, like the vice president, she was out of Worcester, that did all the customer relations.
Yep.
She's the one that actually put on a lot of new equipment about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, when she was here. And she looked at the place, and she said there was, she wasn't too happy when she looked at what the equipment was sitting there. And in 2 weeks, she had a crew there putting in all new
Yep, yep.
distribution equipment.
We're not first on their list, so
So,
that's
So John, do you
that's
have
obvious.
her phone number? Have you talked to her on the phone?
I may have at some point. I do have all her contact information too.
Yeah.
And what
I
gets me,
sometimes think it's better just to kind of pick up the phone and say, hey, this is, because
Yeah.
emailing back and forth,
Well-
with everybody's schedules probably isn't the best way to communicate sometimes, you know?
For a while there was another guy that got involved, and he was really good, and we did speak on the phone with him.
Right,
And that's when things started moving, and he just said, I'm passing it back to Glenda. So,
right.
I don't know what happened there, but
It's
we
a
have
fact-
involved John Mayer, too. He's CC'd me on messages to her, and,
Well, even the lawyers have trouble contacting,
Yeah,
well, yeah,
dealing
not
with.
her, but dealing with the
It's
corporate.
an odd response to say that your equipment is too good for our system.
That's scary, too. What are they giving me?
Right.
The text said that the 3 encoders, they're called Drake encoders, they use them all over. That's their,
Yeah.
so they're giving us what they're giving every other town. But, like you said, if it won't take an HDMI signal, I gotta dumb it down. That did make me a little worried.
well, that's basically why, because, you know, they're.
We're not high def.
It's not an HD channel.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah,
that cable connection isn't gonna work to that.
but it worked on
So-
2 of the 3,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
yeah, that's.
Just give me a new
strange.
3rd box. It's been 6 months, this box, just give me a new box,
Yeah,
is what.
and maybe that's the phone call you make. You know, can I just get the 3rd box so we can put this one to bed before?
Yep,
Before we have our public hearing.
Yeah.
yeah, let them know
Right.
that. Yep, I'll just be quick on the next few things. Fiber update. My goal this basketball season was to set up multiple cameras in the gym and feed them back to the studio fiberly, I guess is the word. Only one port in that gymnasium works that gets sent back. I had a consultant come out here, Renee's man, and we could only get one to work. So we're in the process of reaching out to, like the electrician, someone to get the schematics, whoever installed the fiber, we're trying to figure out where does these ports go to. We did search with IT, all the rooms, the switcher rooms, and we couldn't get the light. We didn't see light on the other end. So basketball season's ending, so this isn't my top priority anymore, because there's only 3 more home games, so why sweat this now? But that is on my to-do list, and it is very high on my to-do list. With that said, we are live streaming basketball games. We're actually on live right now with the girls' games, and I have a student announcer, so tune into that. Whenever there's a home game, we'll be on. And
That's
last thing, I think the end of February, I will be out at a 50th Little League anniversary reunion. Westport Little League won the state championship and went to Williamsport 50 years ago. So I'll be at a banquet or reunion or something with all the kids. Well, the players from the team, they're now probably in their late 60s. So that's all I got.
Valerie, are you on?
No, Valerie had to go to the other,
She's doing the
yeah,
other
so
meeting.
she's not with us.
Okay. I don't think there is any other business to take up. Madam Chairman, do you have anything else for us? Are you still listening?
I couldn't understand if you were
Do-
talking to me.
Yes, do you have anything else? If not, we're going to adjourn.
Well, the sound varied a lot. Some people were heard and some people not. I'm not sure whether that has anything to do with the recording for the town, but that is a reality. John and I started talking following a meeting earlier about coming up with a series of videos that inform the community about the various fiscal issues that are going to be addressed this spring. Because of my situation with COVID and because of, I don't know, whatever, we haven't really gotten started, but we have a lot of material, and I'm going to be talking to some of the other people in town that are working on this. And my concern is that what we do is just but really presented in a way that many understands is important. And I think that follows on what was so well written in this renewal document. This is important. So what I hoped was we could talk about it tonight, but I think that I'm not really up to doing much more than just giving you this brief overview. Your loud experience. Okay, that's it, Bob, that, just to let people know that that is cooking on the back of the stove right now.
Yep, I'm well aware. Thank you. With nothing else, I'll run to my next meeting, and is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second? All in favor? Aye. We stand adjourned.